Here's something that sounds made up, but isn't. A 25-year-old who invests $200 a month and then does nothing else will usually end up with more money than someone who invests twice as much, but starts 10 years later. Same market, same returns. The only difference is time. That's the strange arithmetic of compounding. It's the closest thing personal finance has to a cheat code, except it isn't secret, it isn't fast, and almost nobody has the patience to actually use it. So let's do the thing most money videos skip, the actual math, honestly. Start with why compounding is different from saving. Saving is addition. You add money to a pile, and it grows in a straight line. Investing is multiplication. Your money earns a return, and then that return earns its own return. Put $1,000 in at a 10% average, and the first year earns $100. But year 30 earns far more, not because you added anything, but because the gains themselves have been quietly working the whole time. The line isn't straight, it bends upward. And the slightly annoying truth is that almost all of the bending happens at the very end, which is exactly why patience is the whole game. So let's run it. $200 a month into a broad index fund, at the market's long-run average of roughly 10% a year, crosses $1 million in about 38 years. Of that million, only around 90,000 is money you actually put in. The rest, more than 900,000, is compounding doing the heavy lifting. Now the honest footnotes, because this is where most videos stop. 10% is an average, not a promise. Some decades deliver far less, and $1 million in 40 years won't buy what $1 million buys today. After inflation, it's closer to 300,000 or 400,000. Still life-changing, just not lottery money. So be conservative with the number in your head. Planning around 7% instead of 10 leaves room for the bad decades, and a pleasant surprise if they never come. Hope is not a strategy, margin is. And it scales. The same math on 500 a month or 1,000 simply moves the finish line closer. The engine doesn't care how big the fuel is, only that you keep feeding it and that you start. But the size of the contribution is not the most powerful lever. The time is, watch, 2 investors. Anna puts in $200 a month starting at 25. Ben puts in $400, double, but starts at 35. Same 7% return, both stop at 65. Ben contributes far more money over his life, and he still finishes behind. Anna invested about $48,000 less, and ended up with more because her money had an extra decade to compound. In investing, the most expensive thing you can do is wait. Now, if you're not 25, if you're 35 or 45, this is usually the part where money videos make you feel doomed. Don't. Starting late changes the inputs, not the math. You lean on 3 levers instead of 1. Invest a little more, plan to work a few years longer, and above all, still start today. Late is enormously better than never. A fair question. Invested in what, exactly? Not a single hot stock. For most people, the evidence points somewhere boring. A low-cost index fund that holds hundreds of companies at once. Over any 20-year stretch, the large majority of professional, highly paid fund managers fail to beat a simple index after fees. So instead of betting on one company or one manager, you own a slice of the whole market and let it average out. And fees matter more than they look. A 1% annual fee sounds trivial. Over an investing lifetime, it can quietly remove a 6-figure chunk of your final result. Low cost isn't a detail. It's part of the return. And you never have to time the market. Investing the same amount every month means you automatically buy more shares when prices are low and fewer when they're high. It's mechanical, it's boring, and it quietly removes the single decision people get most wrong. Before any of this, one thing comes first, and it's the only genuinely free lunch in finance. If your employer matches retirement contributions, that match is an instant, guaranteed return, often 50 or 100% on day one, before the market does anything at all. Skipping it is turning down part of your salary. And where you hold the money matters almost as much as what you buy. Tax-advantaged accounts, a 401k, an IRA, an ISA, depending on your country, let your gains compound without the tax drag every single year. Same fund, same market, but the government stops taking a slice along the way. Fill those first. So three forces quietly work against the math. Fees, which we just saw. Inflation, which is why the goal is to out-earn it, not just to save. And the decisive one, which isn't financial at all, it's behavioral. And this isn't just theory on a chart. Someone who invested steadily through the dot-com crash and then through 2008, two of the scariest stretches in living memory, still ended up far ahead. For one reason, they kept going while almost everyone else panicked. Because markets fall regularly, sometimes by 30 or 40%, the math only works for people who do nothing during those drops. Or better, keep buying. Historically, the market recovered from every one of them. But those who sold near the bottom locked in the loss and missed the recovery. Which is why this plan deliberately skips the exciting stuff. Picking individual stocks, chasing the hot coin, timing the dips, these feel like investing. But mostly they transfer money from the impatient to the patient. Boring and diversified quietly wins. So how do you know when you have enough? A rough, widely used rule: aim for about 25 times your annual spending. At that point, withdrawing roughly 4% a year has historically let the money outlive you. It turns a vague dream into an actual number to aim at. The real trick is to make the whole thing automatic. A transfer that leaves your account the day you get paid never has to survive your willpower, your mood, or a tempting weekend sale. You simply can't spend what you never see. Which leaves a plan that's almost boringly simple. Invest a fixed amount on a schedule, automatically. Put it in a low-cost, broad index fund. Leave it alone for decades. And when the market falls, keep buying. Don't sell. One upgrade to the boring plan. Every time your income rises, raise the amount you invest before you get used to the extra money. A contribution that quietly grows with your salary can nearly double where this whole curve ends up. There's no secret step you're missing. The difficulty was never understanding it. It's that slow and steady for 30 years is a genuinely hard thing for a human to do, which is exactly why it still works for the few who manage it. And remember what the number is actually for. Not a yacht. What compounding really buys is options, the freedom to leave a job you've outgrown, to take a risk, to say no. Quietly, that is what getting rich slowly is really about. Getting rich slowly is unglamorous, which is most of the reason it works, and so few people stick with it. A modest amount, invested early, in something boring, left alone, and protected from your own worst instincts. That's the whole machine. If you'd like one money idea explained this honestly each week, consider subscribing, and we'll keep showing the math, not the hype.